obviously have to talk about the Saudi stuff again because it just never ends. I wish that we could and we could move on, but I do want to remind everybody, but right at the start, when the Savvy Games Group bought ESL and Face It and ESEA and everything else, I said, right then, you'll be able to pull up the tape and go back and watch the videos. They won't stop there. The next thing will be they'll want to take out any other rival leagues and expand territorially. They did that. They did that with Esports Engine. They did that with ESVN in China. Then I said, they're not going to stop there, guys. What they're going to do is they're going to start funding and buying the orgs themselves. They've done that via the mechanism of the Esports World Cup, the Saudi Arabian PIF stipend program that everyone gets, And I said, guys, they're not going to stop there. They're going to go and take over the media outlets as well. And they've done that. And not only have they just sort of been essentially bribing some outlets, and these outlets like Esports Insider were essentially becoming compromised via the sponsorships they were taking. And, and we've seen other outlets where it's like, hey, we'll Scopely or whatever, we'll sponsor your conference. They've also directly funded their own media outlets now, like they have with Rolling Stone Gaming, which we talked about on the last stream. Now, I thought maybe once they had the media, it would end there, but I kind of didn't foresee the next part, although I probably should have done. I mean, I did joke about it a few times when I was part of it, and when I saw the Live Golf promotion, it put me in a weird spot. But anyway, we've had the news today that they have took over the Esports Awards for 3 years, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But for first thing I want to do is just show you how ridiculous it's getting in the media. Obviously, you remember DigiDay. We've talked about them quite a bit. They've done a number of things, including they were the publication that ran the kind of Nicola Point Jameson, I have nothing to apologise for article as she left, claiming credit for all of EG's successes, but none of its failures, which were certainly far greater than any success it might have achieved. Now, this is an article called Why the Esports Industry is Embracing Saudi Arabian Investment. I think that, by the way, is a loaded title in and of itself. This is by Alex Lee. Are we embracing it? I don't know. And is embracing the right word? Blithely accepting it is probably would be a better framing, but no. After years of trial and error, the esports industry appears to have finally found a path to profitability. Saudi Arabian money. So right out the gate, this is complete nonsense because, no, this isn't a path to profitability. It is just a different person, a different group, a different entity underwriting esports. These orgs aren't profitable. It's just money coming from an endless, bottomless pit of Saudi Arabian money. This isn't profitability. These are stipends. These are handouts. This is all done under the guise of investment or whatever, right? So it's not profitable. Over the past 2 decades, esports companies have thrown a wide variety of spaghetti at the metaphorical wall of profitability, with most of it failing to stick. First came esports team streaming payments and esports league media rights deals with Twitch, which dried up a few years ago. Then came esports companies' flirtation with crypto and gambling money, a source of investment that cratered during the crypto winter of 2022 and 2023. At the same time, some esports organizations' attempts to go public crashed and burned, dampening the interest of once enthusiastic institutional investors from the worlds of venture capital and private equity. And while brands and their marketing budgets have been a relatively consistent revenue source for esports companies, this aspect of the business has not grown as quickly as many anticipated, particularly as non-endemic advertisers fled the space in 2023. Now, what those 2 paragraphs say to me is we've had money in esports, and this isn't throwing spaghetti at a wall. This is taking vast sums of money into a business and then pissing it all up against the wall. It's not spaghetti, it's urine. And pissing against the wall, it means, in this sense, means you've had the money, you've spent it on good times, and ended up, all you've done in the end, all you've got to show for it is a puddle of piss. Some of it on a wall, most of it on the floor adjacent to the wall. That's how it works. It's about, Gary good times. And I've said this, they've done this in esports. Like, when we hit 2016 and we got all the venture capital money, that was it. You were meant to take those millions, and instead of scaling up your operations, you meant to pay off your debt, look at what you could feasibly build in the 3-year period to get an ROI to keep your investor happy, but you didn't do that. You kept speculating to accumulate, you kept spending money, you kept robbing Peter to pay Paul, you kept borrowing against the future that might not exist, and you broke esports. You broke it irreparably. And ever since then, all of these owners have been scrambling to find someone that can underwrite the industry. And they don't care who it is. They don't care, by the way, that they spend all of their time telling you, well, be careful with we would never have a sponsor that is a scam. And then all of these fucking orgs put out NFTs. Right? They put out NFTs, leveraging their fan bases, their vast fan bases, stick their logo on it, pretend to you it's fucking going to be worth something. And by the way, I don't consider NFTs inherently scams. I think by the time all esports was doing it, everyone knew it was bullshit, that the tech wasn't bullshit, but that's what they've done. That's what they did. They did it with crypto. They did it with gambling sites. And by the way, that's what I find hilarious when you see these fans go, oh, crypto's bad, gambling bad, when it's a tournament organizer taking a sponsor. Your favourite orgs have done it. Did you take your flair down? Oh, no, that's complicated. Orgs, it's expensive. Right? So anyway, they have had the money. This is the thing that you need to accept. It wasn't that esports didn't make money. It wasn't that there weren't people willing to invest in esports. It's that the team owners that got the investment pissed it all up against the wall, wasted the money, and then turned around going, oh shit, there's no more? Well, it's okay, we'll find some more from this place and this place. And then when there was nowhere else to turn to, they were like, what do you want us to do? We have to take the Chinese money now. We have to take the Saudi money now. We probably have to take the Qatari money now. Because if we don't, we have to stop operating. Yes, so do that then. Have some decency. Close down your failed fucking business that you brought to the point of ruin. But no, you won't do that. You'll take no responsibility for artificially inflated buyouts. You'll take no responsibility for artificially inflated salaries. You won't take any responsibility for ridiculous numbers of employment in office space in California you can't even afford to rent. And you hire guys based on fucking nepotism because they're good fun to smoke weed with. And then you sit around and smoke weed with them playing video games all day while your org goes in the toilet. Let's stop pretending anyone in esports was fit to run a business. Let's stop there. I'm not talking about everyone. There are some people that have provably run orgs well and deserve success. But most org owners pissed all this money up against the wall and turned this industry into the Saudi-owned cesspool it is now. Anyway, in 2024, one of the few institutions still funding esports is Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, which is currently throwing money into the industry from all directions. There's the ESL Faceit Group, an esports league operator that Saudi Arabia acquired for $1.5 billion in 2022. There's the upcoming Esports World Cup, which started out last year as the Saudi Arabian tournament Gamers 8. And then there's the gaming and esports section of the planned Saudi Arabian city Qadiyah, among other investments. Editor's note, ESL Faceit Group paid for this reporter's travel and lodging at the EFG-owned event DreamHack Dallas on June 2nd. Now, I'm going to just tell you a little thing about disclosures. It's generally best practice that when you make a disclosure about this stuff, you put it at the start or you put it at the end. So it's either the first thing readers see, so it's front-loaded, or at the end, so it's the last thing they think about. You don't just bury it in the middle and then breeze past it. And I have to ask, why would the ESL Faceit Group be paying for journalists' travel to go to their events? Not just travel, lodging as well. Why would they be doing that? That's never been a thing. I used to be in the front line fucking trenches of journalism in esports. No one ever paid for me to go to their event. Strange. Anyway, goes on to have this quote in it from Ralph Reichart. What we try to do in the last few years, and specifically in the last year, is to make sure the world knows that the Kingdom and Riyadh and Saudi Arabia is very serious about esports. It has a proven record with EFG, an acquisition which went well and has continued to stay the course on its original mission, and Gamers 8 a precursor to what the Esports World Cup will become. If it's doing so well, by the way, if these things are doing so well, why did you have to lay 15% of your staff off? Why are you making budget cuts on your products like ESL Pro League? Why are you telling broadcast talent across multiple games they can't have the same day rate they had before you completely took over the space? Is it going well or isn't it? Guess what? The director of esports at Team Falcons has got an opinion on it. I think it is necessary, whether we like it or not, in terms of where the esports industry is. It wasn't exactly amazing before esports winter either. Financially, some teams were struggling to show clear, profitable scale, and it led to the situation right now where investors are pulling out, people are having to downsize, etc., said Grant Rousseau. Something like this very much reinvigorates the industry. Another quote. Fast forward, if you compare it to, this is Ralph Reichart again, if you compare it to any other sports, all of them are heavily funded by governments across the world, from grassroots to pro sports, and people underestimate the involvement of government funding, Reichart said. And this is probably the first time that this has happened in esports on that scale, so it's a good thing, actually. It's not a bad thing whatsoever. Mike Milanov, the head of the Qiddiya City Gaming and Esports Advisory Board, said, I love the Kingdom, and I love where we're headed as a kingdom. So I just want to get the word out there in the right way. Now, do you think maybe this article would have benefited from a quote from somebody saying maybe Saudi investment is bad, like a little balance, you know? Could you only ask people involved with it? Now, the article does also go on to say, Saudi Arabia outsized investments in esports present some challenges for the esports companies that have signed on so far. As more money and attention from esports goes towards Saudi Arabia, it has raised natural questions among esports fans about just how much their favourite teams and leagues are aware of or support the human rights abuses that have taken place in the country. Check back later this week for a dedicated report on this topic. Now, I'll make a prediction. The dedicated report isn't about the human rights abuses in Saudi Arabia. It's an apologia for all of the team owners going, oh, look, it's complicated. They drive now. They can drive now. Didn't happen in a vacuum. They drive now. And we weren't aware. And what are we supposed to do? How can we say no to the money if we don't say no? If we say no, somebody else will come along and they won't say no and they'll take the money and then we won't be able to compete, and all the other fucking rationalizations we've done. Remember, by the way, guys, nobody made it, so you had to front load your business saying core values are how great you are as a person because you don't discriminate against anyone and would actually fight battles for marginalized groups. Nobody forced that to be front and center of your business. Now that you chose that, and now that you're choosing this, we absolutely get to say two things. One, you're a fucking liar, you never held those values. And two, you cannot in any conceivable world feign ignorance about human rights abuses in Saudi Arabia. It's just not that you just can't do it. No one's going to fall for it. No one's falling for it this June. You've all been quiet on Pride, I've noticed, right? More on that coming to the Substack. Notice you haven't been posting like it doesn't even feel like June, does it, guys? Have you noticed the lack of rainbows from esports orgs this June? And that proves what I also contended. You take the Saudi money, you don't impose your values on them, they impose your values on you. Now yous can't post about Pride. Huh? How bizarre. And I won't give Team Liquid credit for doing it because you're still taking the money. What are we supposed to do? Just say no to the bloodstained money from the human rights violators? Yeah. But we have investors and board members. Do they not want to say no to it? What? If not, why not? If they won't say no to it, why are you working with them when your core values state you support LGBT rights around the world? But no, like what I hate about these orgs as well is, and all the people who work at them is, you all push this idea of accountability culture. You know, I'll never get over the fucking shrieking hysteria of Carlos having an Andrew Tate in the background. He doesn't even fucking know him, does he? I think that much is apparent by now, right? Didn't know him. He was just in the background. He tried to be cheeky and cash in and get some clicks, right, for G2. Andrew Tate has said esports is a waste of time and only losers would engage in it. Right? And yet that was considered, well, he's a human rights trafficker. Have I got news for you guys? But that's what you wanted to do. You want to police the industry, right? You want to say I'm a bad person. You want to, and I must be held accountable, for 6 months writing at a right-wing publication or not being fooled that Trump is in any way comparable to Hitler, right? You want to do that to me, but now you're working with human rights violations. They're literally putting the name at the bottom of the check. Suddenly accountability culture's bad. What a surprise. Anyway, so I woke up today on this topic, and I'm on like a few Discords and whatnot. God help me. But the Esports Awards, I was in their Discord, and, not because I participate anymore. I'm not on the panel. I think they altered my permission, so I couldn't see privileged information. But it was a good place to hang out with all your industry people. Know a lot of people, know a lot of folk. Obviously, we're not always great at esports and keeping in touch with each other. It was a nice little way to be able to be like, oh, look, there's, whoever it was, like Puckett or, Seltzer or, whoever it might be. Anyway, I woke up this morning and I noticed I'd been kicked off the Discord. And I was like, all right, well. I mean, that does sort of make sense. I probably shouldn't be on there anyway. I did say I wouldn't participate anymore in helping them after the Mark Merrill, after they literally, ignored a panel vote to give Mark Merrill a completely invalid Lifetime Achievement Award. They did do that, by the way. I know Thorin and Monty have said it on their shows. I don't know if I've said it. But yeah, basically, they fucking took a panel vote, and we were like, yeah, we don't think Mark Merrill should get an esports award, and they overturned it and said, oh, it's politics. I was out then. That's why I left. I mean, Mark Merrill shouldn't have got an award, right? So that's bad enough. So I was out already. But I noticed I was kicked off the Discord, and it was a bit unceremonious. You could have let me say goodbye, whatever. So anyway, then it happened, and I was like, oh, I get it now. Because here it is. We are delighted to announce that we have entered into a 3-year partnership with the Esports World Cup, bringing our esteemed award ceremony to the Esports World Cup, the world's largest gaming festival. The Esports Awards will come to you live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on August 24th. Stay tuned for more information on voting and categories. So, for the next 3 years, we don't even have any legitimate esports awards that everybody can safely attend. As I said, the strategy has been clear from the get-go. Ralph Reichart and all the fucking little goonies who couldn't have a monopoly when they were ESL. They didn't have enough money, they didn't have enough resources. But they always tried to have one. It was always the wet dream of these fucking goony fucking losers. They never wanted to compete in esports. They always were trying to find sneaky ways to have the fucking total control over the space, whether it was WISA or jamming up the players union or whatever the fuck it's been, paid for leagues, working with Twitch, right? They only ever viewed the esports ecosystem through the lens of, what if we could control it all? Well, this is what they've been wanting to do, and now they've got the money and the reach and the fact that it is an industry populated by morally weak, greedy losers. That is the esports industry. The people who run it, they are losers. They are serial losers. They don't know what it's like to win. They think a bag of money is winning. That's what they think. And so when it comes along, it's not a surprise they can't say no. It's not a surprise. Remember, by the way, for the total Saudi Arabian takeover of esports, they've barely spent $3 billion, probably. It's kind of embarrassing. But it fell immediately. It It just cratered. Nobody put up any resistance. And remember, they didn't have to blackmail anyone. They didn't have to threaten anyone. They didn't have to strong-arm anyone. They didn't have to engage in any, like, ruthless corporate tactics. They just had to put a bag of money in a room on a table and said, do you want this? If you say yes, you will have to work with us, but really for us. Do you want this? And everyone said, yeah. What can you do in an industry like that? And like I say, they walk away from it thinking, wow, we've won. So look at that. I'll just play the video as well, because it's like, I don't know.
Opportunities. This is brought in to recognize those going above and beyond to support, grow, and advance.
I personally am embarrassed for everyone who is in this being used to promote this exercise.
Industry, lots of incredible opportunities. This is brought in to recognize those going above and beyond to support, grow, and evangelize.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Esports Awards!
Let's get alongside each other, because truly a rising tide raises all ships.
By the way, I wonder if anyone was consulted about this, because you can see, like, you know, people like fucking... These are good people. These are my colleagues, my friends, and they're being used to promote this. Like, I would be fucking livid. I would be livid if I'd appeared in this video. I would have been on the phone to a fucking lawyer straight away.
And the winner.
Thank you. I love you. Bless your heart.
I love this industry, and you all mean a lot to me, so thank you so much.
Probably one of the most rewarding experiences of my entire life.
And the winner is... The winner is...
Winner is.
And the winner is...
So, just a little bit of advice. Please, now that you are part of the Saudi Arabian PIF fucking takeover of this industry, please end the Esports Journalist of the Year award, because any journalist worth their salt would refuse to it. You will notice my awards are no longer in shot. They never will be. I piss on them. They are now worthless. You have rendered them worthless with this, because you are in bed with a fucking regime that murders and imprisons journalists for writing about their regime. You are completely compromised on that front, and so you must absolutely not have that award. I will not. I will be there every single time. That award has to be discontinued. You can do the rest of it, but not that one. That's a fucking joke. It is actually staggering that they have done this. And so listen, you know, I'll just tell you, this is kind of where we're at in terms of the industry now. I want you to think about what it says that we don't. Okay, so the same entity owns a tournament, pays the orgs to hire teams to enter into their tournament while promoting their tournaments without disclosure. It's a quid pro quo. More on that in a moment. We bribe the journalists. We give them sponsorship deals. We pay for them to go to events. We buy publications outright, and all for the purposes of covering this. Before we even get into the Webedia stuff and how they seem to have all these incredible publications all around the globe saying fantastical stuff about how great the Esports World Cup is, there is no more dissenting voices. They are either being bought off or squeezed out. You have the Kadia board, which are saying we want to hire 100,000 people across all of esports, while also having the esports orgs spend part of their year in the esports district where they will get free state-of-the-art training equipment. And now you couldn't even not have the awards, because actually, what if people who were critical of ESL won awards? What would happen there? If people who were critical of Saudi Arabia and its takeover of esports, what if they won awards, right? Well, they wouldn't, and they can't, and they never will again. And not only that, just to make sure, we'll have them in Riyadh. We'll tack it on as a fucking little feature ad for our tournaments. And by the way, you've seen the crowds at these events. Not going to be standing ovations and big cheers. Oh, no, that's right. We're going to fill them. We're going to fill it with industry shills. All of the people who think this is okay are going to sit there and clap like fucking circus seals. And all hail Esports Journalist of the Year and host of the event, Jake Lucky. Not his fault. He's too dumb to even know what fucking sports washing is. But this is the absolute fucking clownery of this industry, that the Esports Awards had to get bought, had to be part of the takeover, because we can't even recognize critical excellence. We won't even risk it. And so, by the way, understand, obviously, Riot Games, they've made their decision. Valorant's going to be part of the Esports World Cup. There was some, eventually, there was some reporting in the Esports Advocate by James Fudge about that. They wanted to do it, but they just couldn't make it work because of a scheduling conflict. Mark Merrill getting his Lifetime Achievement Award. More of him, first person in the video, right? Remember, by the way, this is a man who, when they did a town hall after the sexism lawsuit at Riot Games, he cried at that town hall because he felt so sorry for himself for letting himself down by having a company that treated women so bad. Bro, you'll get a fucking bonus from MBS and the fucking PIF and everything now. You wouldn't have had to pay out any money whatsoever. It is a layer cake of fucking garbage. And this is the final cherry. All the awards through the lens of, do you serve the Saudi Arabian state? Yes or no? So I don't want mine. They're knowing they have no value now, knowing I could never win another one, never accept another one. They're worthless. They were my crowning achievements, and I woke up today and they were rendered worthless. More so than what you did with the Mark Merrill stuff, which is so egregiously out of pocket that should invalidate the awards right there. Either you care about people's expertise and viewpoints, or you don't. Once you start giving out awards because it's just something we have to do, it's good for business, they're not awards anymore. They're not real. So there's been some interesting reactions. Silviu, who runs PGL, and full disclosure, I worked with PGL at the last major and will be working with PGL in the future. You can decide if that colours my views on this particular topic or not. So up to you. He tweeted out as well, saying that he's been a panelist for this event since last year, and after today's announcement, I've mailed them to get removed from anything related to it. Panels, mailing lists, anything. I cannot be associated with such a mockery. The joke of it is, and I'm sure Sylvia knows this, that even if he hadn't have done that, as someone who has historically been critical of ESL and the things they've done in the industry, they would have eventually removed him anyway. That's the joke of it all. So I'm going to wait to see, kind of how big all the reactions are. Let me show you some of them. I've been kind of keeping an eye on them. We had another resignation. Good on you, Intero. I spent 4 years on the Esports Awards Committee. I resigned this morning. I'm extremely proud that the Siege scene pushes for a welcoming, tolerant, and inclusive place for all. These are our values, and I'll always fight for them. Great guy. Used to have many a fine conversation with him. Monte Cristo said, I'm incredibly disappointed. I've volunteered my time for years to this organization. They've completely abandoned the values of equality and inclusiveness cherished by esports professionals for decades. Captain Fluke, she has a straight fire tweet. There goes me ever getting a nomination. And, this is a serious point. How can we ever look at the nominations seriously ever again? How can we ever look at the ability for people to go and accept these awards ever again? Another caster here, Ritual. Congratulations to women, queer voices, and more for never getting recognised at the Esports Awards. This move devalues whatever scraps of legitimacy you hope the awards would have and pushes esports down a dark path. Disappointed and heartbroken. Yeah, I mean, kind of feel it as well. The thing they're going to tell you is we had to do it for the money or the awards would have stopped. I'd rather that you stopped. Yiska, the Overwatch journalist, just did the old classic fucking see you later. And, I imagine as well there'll be probably tons in the fucking replies. Let me also just read to you what they said about it in the Esports Insider piece that accompanied it. Strange how it was an Esports Insider, I'll say. Here it is. Esports Awards CEO discussed 3-year partnership with Esports World Cup. Esports Insider. Sure, this will be some hard-hitting stuff. Let's see. Michael Ashford stated that the 3-year deal will see the award shows 24, 25, and 26 events be hosted alongside the Esports World Cup with an intent to explore longer-term collaborations. So not just a desperate move designed to shore us up in the short term, but actually the long-term direction for the awards. The Esports World Cup is well on its way to establishing itself as the biggest competition in esports and competitive gaming history, having the opportunity to align with an event and festival with so many shared values. Oh, Michael, mate, you said the line. I know you'll be watching this as well. You really said shared values. You share their values, do you, mate? Really? I know you don't. Shared values. Having the opportunity to align with an event and festival with so many shared values. Any values you don't share, maybe? Want to mention them? No? That, in our opinion, will become the global hub for the industry, ensures the opportunity to reach the West and East in a way not previously possible. Founded in 2015, the Esports Awards celebrates esports talent and companies across various categories such as competition, content creation, and media. The partnership with the EWC aims to support the Esports Awards expansion with an elevated award show. This includes an expanded lifetime achievement mixer. Bet that's a fucking banger. Red carpet event and esports village. Oh yeah, enjoy that, guys. And by the way, all of this done on purpose to make it so if you are against the Saudi takeover, you simply can't attend these big networking events. You simply can't win an award. You simply can't get recognition. They are literally creating an environment where you're either with us, right? You're either with us in the media, you're with us in the teams, you're with us in the orgs, you're players that are willing to play there, you're with us in the broadcast talent, or you're against us, and in which case you are persona non grata in the industry. As I said, they absolutely will no longer respond to requests for comment. I've always been quite decent with them. I've been quite professional and always, whenever I write stories, always reach out to them, like, you can give me your side. I don't agree with what you're doing. I think it's wrong. I think it's morally wrong, but I'll still ask for comment. I'm blacklisted now by ESL. I won't be able to go to any of their events, even just as a casual. That's over. The Esports World Cup is a new annual multi-title esports and gaming festival in Saudi Arabia. This year, the event will feature a total of 19 titles and a prize pool of $60 million. The event was initially announced by Saudi Arabian Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman and is organised by the government-founded Esports World Cup Foundation. Saudi Arabia's growing investment in esports has been met with criticism due to the country's stance on women's rights, LGBTQ plus rights, and censorship. Some voices in the industry have labelled Saudi Arabia's competitive gaming ventures as esports washing, an attempt to distract from its human rights record. Ashford assured the EWC will have no control over the award nominations or the adjudication process, and that the Esports Awards will remain independently owned and operated entity. The Esports World Cup will work with Esports Awards to ensure the guest list is a fair representation of the industry, whilst helping to ensure club representation at its highest level, added Ashford. By the way, we know from Saudi Arabian involvement in every other sport, they absolutely will try to influence it. They absolutely will try to decide who can and can't vote, and obviously, by extension, who can and can't attend, who can and can't win. They're not doing this just to have a nice little event that they can tack on to the Esports World Cup. When asked if the relationship with the Esports World Cup could discourage some companies and individuals from attending, I'd like to know which ones, considering even fucking wokester level fucking Intel are totally in on all of this. One of the biggest sponsorships in esports, and they don't care. He said, "We do have a responsibility to ensure individuals have the right to accept and represent their win in their own way. We've always allowed for video acceptance of an award. We will also be working to provide a second celebration as a satellite event of the Esports Awards in Riyadh in Q4 2024. The 24 edition will be the first esports ceremony to come to Saudi Arabia. Imagine having to publicly admit that it's a good thing winners can submit a video. And then he said here, when asked about the potential backlash, Ashford stated, the Esports Awards as the de facto platform for recognition globally has a very unique position in the competitive gaming ecosystem. Over the last 8 years, we have worked to be a holistic and all-encompassing platform that predicates itself on recognizing excellence globally. We've always been mindful that this has been done while spending 8 years in the West and realistically 3 years in the UK and 5 in the US. This is our first opportunity to position ourselves in a destination that has equal opportunities to attend for the East and the West and really stand to create a global hub for esports. I'd hold off on using the words equal opportunities when talking about this, brother. Very easy to throw them back in your face. I would refer to the comments made by the SEF in the past and highlight the numerous previously successful events which concluded without any issues or concerns. So there you go. All totally above board. Nothing to see here. It's all fine. And this tweet pretty much sums it up from Desertu. Another one from R6. Can't wait for the incredible women in esports to be celebrated 20 miles away from the prison, holding and torturing Manahel Al-Otaibi, who did the heinous crime of shopping without an abaya and expressing she feels male guardianship laws should come to an end. What a joke. And indeed, it is a sick joke. So yeah, we don't even have awards anymore. We just literally have Saudi Arabian state-approved glazed. It's just ridiculous. And like I said, I saw all this coming at the start. I just thought the awards might be an area they just wouldn't go into. ESL used to have their own awards, the Turtle Entertainment Esports Awards, and it's just crazy to me that they've gone as far as they have. You know, and worth also pointing out, and I'm glad Desertu brought this up. You can see here, you know, nothing's real anymore about esports. Talent who are being offered the EWC are being contractually obliged to tweet positive things about the event, produce promotional content, and no doubt much more. Sports washing in full flow. That's another agreement that you have to accept when you go and do these events. You can't say anything bad about the event. It's just fucking crazy, like, that we've actually got here, and everyone's okay with it. Nobody bar, like, some kind of conscientious broadcast talent is going to stand up. None of the real stakeholders, none of the real powerful people in the industry, not the games developers, not the fucking esports orgs owners, none of them are going to stand up. It's absolutely insane. You've got maybe a handful of journalists left. I mean, and when I say a handful, I can think of like 3 or 4 who are not compromised, not tainted by the money, and can actually say things. It's fucking crazy, guys, how bad it's got. And like I say, there's just no point in engaging with esports anymore. Like, it's just like I said, the party's over, guys. Like, I hope everybody realizes that. First time chatter. I'm close about this stuff, but is it not pretty normal to have stuff like this in a contract? No, it isn't. Having an obligation to not be critical of an event is kind of like a relatively new thing. Put it this way, all the events I've worked, I've never had a contract with any org that said, like, you can't say we did something bad or something shit. Because, you know, I wouldn't agree to it. Just because you're paying me doesn't mean you should be immune to fucking criticism if you do something fucked up.